Alright guys, so I'm really excited today. I have a 69-1504TR performance air intake system for my 2020 SI. And this is the first time I've actually ever seen one of their performance intakes. Now, every car in our driveway has the K&N drop-in filter, but I've never used their actual intake system before, so I'm quite excited. So in this video we're going to do an unboxing, and then at the end we're going to do a review and show it to you on the car and give you my final thoughts at the end after it's been installed. So looking at the outside of the box, you can see it says a guaranteed increase in horsepower on the box. I'm expecting big things from K&N. If you look at their products online, they're not cheap, but I know that they are worth it. Seeing everyone's reviews and saying what it does to their car and how it makes it sound definitely is worth a few $100 in my book for this kind of upgrade. Alright guys, so I'm quite excited to get into the unboxing. I've already cut the tape on the top, so let's get into it. So right when you open the box, you can see everything's neatly placed inside of the box. Now it comes with this rubber strip that goes on top of the kind of cage that goes around the air filter. This is to block out some heat from the other parts of the engine bay. The colder the air you take in, the more horsepower you make. So we also have hose clamps. Comes with hose clamps to go, that holds the filter on. It holds different pipes in place. Really important that you have these with your air filter. So now we have the actual air filter. Now this is a K&N air filter right here. This is why people buy this air filter. Comes pre-oiled from the factory. Has a hose clamp on to hold this onto the tubing that it attaches to. Nice big opening to let lots of air in, as well as a decent sized filter for my 1.5 liter Honda Civic. So you do get an instructions manual with this. It's really not that difficult. K&N says it takes about an hour. I've looked over the instructions a few times that they have online, and I bet you anyone can do this in under an hour. You have to move a few things around, but besides that, it's really just a bolt-on upgrade for your car that's going to do well with making a lot of power and making the engine sound really nice. So here we have a coupler for the air filter. This is what the air filter is going to attach onto when it's sitting inside of the box. Here we have the intake tube. Intake tube looks really nice. Nice red finish on it, aluminum piece. Place for your airflow sensor right here. Now the stock airflow sensor will match up perfectly to this, so you don't have to worry about any fitment issues when you put it on the car. Here we have the actual air box. Now this is what's going to block out air from the rest of your engine bay, as well as you put this rubber strip on it, and this goes along the edges to make an airtight seal. We have another piece of the rubber tubing in here. Looks like pretty good quality also. And then we have the last two couplers. So there's not much to putting this kit on. The hardest part is really knowing where everything goes, but K&N has great instructions that come with the product. So we're going to get this put on the car, and then we'll do a review of it after it's on the car and show you what it looks like. So I've had this intake for a few days now, and there's a few things I want to go over with the intake. First off, I think it's a great product. At $291, it's slightly expensive. It's more expensive than a K&N drop-in filter, but the sound of it is just fantastic. For the first time, I have a 1.5 liter turbo in my car, and I can actually hear the engine. I can hear all the whoosh noises. I can hear the blow-off valve noises. I think that in itself was worth it from the start. Even if it doesn't do any performance things or really help the car breathe better in any way, the sound alone is just exhilarating. Absolutely exhilarating. So I think for getting an intake, you buy it because you want the power, you want your engine to breathe, you want the sound. There's a lot of reasons why you buy it, but it shouldn't be your only modification. So right now, thankfully, my car is tuned and I have a K-tuner for my car. So this was the intake was the first step in upgrading the car. And on a base map where it's running stock or anything like that, there is no noticeable difference in power. Once you go to a higher base map and you're pushing more pressure with the turbo and making more power, that's when this thing really starts to shine. Because a lot of the tuning companies say that you can't even run your car on a tune with the stock airbox. So having the upgraded airbox is really a nice addition, or I should say air intake. It's not really an airbox anymore. Having the stock air intake kind of lets the engine not breathe as well as it should. So when you're trying to suck in more air with a tune or an exhaust or anything like that, the air intake should really be the first thing that you do. Now, I have a few friends that have intakes on their car and they love it. The sound alone, like I said, is worth it. But for $291, there's other ways you can spend your money. You can be halfway towards a K-tuner for a Civic. If you have a Subaru or something along those lines, or a BMW, you could get a Cobb tuner. But at any point when you have those tuners as well, you're still going to need an air filter. At least a K&N, Cobb, anything. You're gonna need something that's not the stock air intake. So I really like this intake. There's a few other ones they make for my car, but I ended up going with K&N just because I've used their products in the past. They've been around for so long, and they may not be 100% the best company for my car specifically, but based off the price of them and what it brings to the table and the quality of it while installing it was absolutely incredible. The only thing I didn't like was that you had to trim down pieces of this little rubber tubing that comes with it in order to be able to actually put it on the heat shield. I feel like they could have, from the factory, cut it down and either placed it on or just had the pieces the right size to go on. But so we're coming up to a bigger road here, and I'm gonna see if you guys can hear the intake. So this is on a stock base map where it's not making any more power than it would if it was straight from the factory. Like I said, the sound alone is just exhilarating. Having a tiny little engine that sounds like that and makes the car move is fantastic. Now, K&N claims that they've had 11.15 horsepower gained on the dyno with this intake. And I'm not sure I believe that. I know for their old generation SIs, they actually lost horsepower. They sounded way better, but they actually lost a few horsepower. So I wouldn't rely on a cold air intake or a short ram intake to give you a ton of horsepower right off the bat. You're gonna need to do something else, like a supporting mod. I would consider the air intake a supporting mod for a tune or something else along those lines. But overall, I'm really happy with this intake. I'm gonna leave it on the car. I have no plans to switch it out to a different one. And I think K&N makes a great product. So even if it's not the best product, for the price and what it does, it's absolutely perfect.